just finished, Judge, that this was a negotiation that the chief of the fraud unit entered into based on the facts of the case, which I believe was appropriate, and so the state's going to stand by the negotiation.
Okay.
I do have 3 victim speakers pursuant to Marcy's law that I'd ask to be allowed to speak at the end.
Ms. Knight, is there anything you would like to tell the court on your own behalf before I pronounce sentence?
Yes, Madam. I know I'm here because of my own actions, and I take responsibility for that. I think about my choices and the people I hurt every day. The regret I feel for my actions is something I carry with me. There are a lot of things I wish I could go back and do differently, but I can't change the past. Excuse me. All I can do is learn from my previous actions and move forward. I want to say sorry.
You need to talk to the court. You can't. I know that you probably want to apologize to them. They can hear your words, but you can't talk directly to them. Okay?
Understood.
All right.
I want to say I'm sorry to Sydney and to Sydney's family. Sydney was once one of my very best friends, and it hurts knowing that my actions caused so much pain to someone I care very deeply about. I also think about the impact this has had on my own family. My husband, my children, my parents, my sisters, and the people who love me had to carry the consequences of my actions alongside me. I know this has been painful for them, and I regret putting them through that. My daughters mean everything to me. They're the reason I keep trying to be better. When I look at them, I think about the kind of person and mother I want to be. I want them to see someone who takes responsibility for her actions, learns from them, and keeps moving forward. Over the last year, I've continued working, supporting my family, getting the help I need to better understand the choices I made and make sure I never find myself in this position again. I respectfully ask the court to give me the opportunity to continue moving forward, make restitution, support my family, and prove through my actions that I can learn from this and be a better person. Thank you.
Counsel?
Thank you, Your Honor. So, as you can see, she accepts responsibility. This is an error in judgment, to say the least. This is something that definitely weighed heavy on her shoulders, and she certainly regrets. She has called my office throughout this process probably 20 times because she's been so afraid, because she's been so, knows that what she has done has hurt other people. And because you look at her background and you say to yourself, how does somebody with no record, a registered nurse, helping people, caring for people, doing everything right, 30 years old, and all of a sudden we get to this? Why? Why do we get here? What happened here? And so there's nothing in regard to an excuse, a justification, or anything like that. I just want to mention some reason that she was going through at the particular time. Specifically, one thing was her mental health. Okay, she was going through some issues, and she was prescribed medication. She was not taking that medication. She had postpartum depression, anxiety, OCD, things like that. So she was going through all those aspects of things. Again, not an excuse. You get caught up in something where you have intentions that are good in the beginning from talking to her, but now you're in a situation where you're starting to make money, and it's fraudulent. And then you get caught up in this quicksand. Well, maybe I can keep getting away with it until you don't. And now you get into this situation, and she's taken, a felony up front here. How many friends does she have now? 0. And that's for her, for her reason. All these people were friends, not anymore, understandably. And so her reputation has been put through the mud significantly in regard to so many different ways. And she's been bashed. Again, not a justification, I'm just telling Your Honor what has been going on through this case and how certainly it's affected her, but most importantly, what has affected the victims, because the victims have spoken out for a reason, have been upset with her for a reason. And so, rightfully so, we understand that. I hope Your Honor takes the words that she says today seriously, because they are genuine, they are sincere, and we ask that Your Honor follow the negotiations, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. First is Corey Fink.
Raise your right hand and have you sworn.
You do solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes.
Please state and spell your first and last name for the record.
Coreyfink, Corey Fink.
Thank you.
Honorable Judge, my name is Corey Fink. Like most victims, I never imagined I'd be standing in a courtroom reading a victim impact statement. None of us want to be here today, but I believe our voices deserve to be heard. And I hope that by sharing my experience, the court can better understand the impact Haleigh's actions have had on me and my family. I met Haleigh over a decade ago. Since that time, she presented herself as a trustworthy friend who had built a successful content creation career. Haleigh started a fashion blog after high school and later built a following on Instagram. She talked about working with popular brands and hotel companies. Haleigh and her husband Charles worked minimal hours at their conventional jobs as registered nurses. Haleigh claimed to be doing very well with her content creation career and said she had built relationships with multiple brands over the years. Based on the life she portrayed and the confidence she spoke with, I had no reason to doubt her. What I know now is that much of what Haleigh presented to me was a lie. Haleigh posed as multiple Four Seasons hotel representatives for months. It started with someone Haleigh claimed was a Four Seasons representative named Beatrice Adams. Haleigh told me and my sister that Beatrice was looking for new content creators. Haleigh told us that she would help onboard us and show us the road of content creation for Four Seasons. Soon we were included in messages with Beatrice. We were offered job opportunities to travel together and create content for this hotel company on multiple trips. We were so excited, it honestly felt like a dream come true. We talked about traveling together, building something new, and creating opportunities for ourselves. I thought I had finally found an opportunity that would change my life for the better. We were told that deposits would be required to secure our spots and that the money would be refunded when we arrived. At the time, it made sense. We believed we were dealing with a legitimate company and that this was simply a way to protect against no-shows. When the first trip was supposed to happen, my bags were packed. With this new job lined up, I quit my previous one. Then everything started falling apart. One trip was delayed, and then another, and another. At first, we were frustrated with what we thought was Four Seasons. We thought the company was handling things poorly and unprofessionally. Meanwhile, I was out of a job, my savings were draining, and I was trying to figure out what was going on. Weeks would pass without hearing from the hotel company, and my anxiety continued to grow. My apartment was in Utah, and I came back to Nevada while waiting for our trip to happen so I could be around family. I contemplated returning to Utah and started looking for a new job. Haleigh assured me that everything was going to be okay and it would work out. She assured me that delays like this were common in the content creation industry. I trusted her because I believed in her experience in an industry I knew very little about. She offered to let me babysit her children in the meantime so I could make some extra money while we waited for trips to happen. Soon, a new representative Haleigh created messaged us all. Her name was Sonia, and she was the supposed supervisor of Beatrice. She informed us that Beatrice had embezzled money from the company, including the money we had paid. Sonia claimed that things would be made right and that our new representative would be Cynthia, who would take over our account and help with rescheduling. We were upset, but we were relieved to have what we thought were answers. Every time something stopped making sense, there was another explanation. After frustration, confusion, and many tears, Haleigh, Sydney, and I discussed getting a lawyer to help us out of this mess. Haleigh suggested a local attorney she claimed to have a close relationship with and said that he had represented her before. We later learned that the communications we believed were coming from a legal team were actually coming from Haleigh herself, yet another layer of deception. Looking back now, what disturbs me is how detailed it all was. These were not just names she created, These people had personalities, job titles, explanations, and ongoing conversations. There were contracts, DocuSign agreements, and even communications from what we believed was a legal team. To this day, I still struggle to understand how much effort went into all of this. Every time something stopped making sense, there was another explanation, another document, another person, another reason to keep believing. It felt like the lies never stopped. It was pure manipulation and emotional abuse. At one point, my brother raised suspicions about Haleigh's intentions. When I mentioned it to her over text, this was her response. "I cannot take this anymore. I don't blame him. I know it's stressful on everyone. I get that. But it really sucks to know that I'm feeling stressed about proving this to everyone, and then someone thinks that I would willingly put everyone through this trauma." Reading this text now is chilling because it shows Haleigh understood the trauma she was causing my family and me, yet she continued the deception anyways. The financial impact changed the course of my life because I believed what Haleigh was telling me. I left my job. I made decisions about my future based on opportunities that I believed were real. When everything fell apart, I could no longer afford my bills. I had to move back home permanently to Nevada and rely on family members for support. I borrowed money from people I loved just to get by. I lost everything I had built for myself. While I was unknowingly helping fund Haleigh's lavish lifestyle, I was packing up my own life and leaving behind everything I had built for myself in Utah. I babysat Haleigh's children. I supported her. I tried to be there for her whenever she needed help. Many times she failed to pay me for babysitting, even when she had agreed to do so. At the time, I gave her the benefit of the doubt, and that she would eventually pay me. Looking back now, it hurts to realize how often my kindness and trust were taken advantage of. Then came the cancer diagnosis. Haleigh told me that she had pancreatic cancer. I was devastated. I remember her crying and telling me how scared she was. I was scared too. I truly believed my friend was dying. I prayed and worried for her and hoped for a miracle. Words cannot adequately describe the devastation believing that a close friend was dying and Words cannot adequately describe the devastation of believing that a close friend was dying and preparing myself for the possibility of losing her. One moment I will never forget happened in January 2025. My sister woke me up in the middle of the night, knocking on my bedroom door and panicking, saying, "Haleigh's Four Seasons." The second I heard her name, my stomach dropped. I thought I was about to hear that my friend had died. Instead, I learned that I had been lied to. In that moment, everything I thought I knew fell apart. When I found out the truth, I felt completely violated. This experience took me to one of the lowest points in my life. I felt trapped by the financial consequences and overwhelmed by the betrayal. I kept asking myself how someone I trusted so completely and knowingly could do this while continuing to call herself a friend. Someone I trusted had inserted herself into my hopes, my plans for the future, my finances, my friendships, and even my grief. Looking back, it feels like every part of my trust was exploited. The impact went far beyond money. It affected my mental health, my confidence, my independence, my relationships, and my ability to trust people. I'm doing my best to move forward, but the effects of this experience continue to impact my life every day. This was not a single bad decision or momentary lapse in judgment. It was a years-long pattern of deliberate deception carried out against people who trusted her and cared about her. Haleigh's plea agreement feels profoundly unjust to me. For years, I lived with the consequences of her manipulation, deception, and abuse of my trust. The impact on my life was extended far beyond the money that was taken. While restitution may repay financial losses, it cannot restore the years of emotional harm, instability, anxiety, humiliation, and broken trust that resulted from her actions. I respectfully ask the court to consider not only the financial losses involved in the case, but also the years of abuse, grief, stress, humiliation, broken trust, and emotional harm caused by Haleigh's actions. I ask the court to impose a sentence that reflects the seriousness, duration, and calculated nature of her conduct, including incarceration and a permanent felony conviction. Thank you for allowing me to share my experience.
Thank you. I'm very sorry that you went through this, and I can't imagine the financial is bad. but I can only imagine what losing a friend and having your trust destroyed. I hope that being able to speak today helps. I hope that you're able to move forward in life and hopefully be able to trust in the future people that come into your life and not hold what Haleigh did against everybody else, because there are kind people out there that deserve to be trusted.
Thank you.
I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you, Judge. The state would like to call Sydney Fink. Counselor, can you just wait a second?
Do you solemnly swear the testimony you are about to give in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Can you state and spell your first and last name for the record?
Sydney Fink, CYDNEYFINK.
Go ahead, Ms. Fink.
Okay. My name is Sydney Fink, and my husband Caleb Lux and I are victims of Haleigh Knight. We have known Haleigh for over 15 years. We went to high school together, shared the same circles, and over time our friendship grew very close. When we all became parents, the friendship grew even stronger. Our daughters were born just a month apart, and we welcomed Haleigh and her family into our home, our family, and our lives without hesitation. Because of that, we never questioned her intentions. In 2023, Haleigh invited us to join on what seemed like an incredible opportunity, working for 4 seasons as content creators. It felt like a dream. Caleb could step away from bedside nursing, and I could use my background as a professional photographer in a new way. We were excited to build something meaningful together as a family. She knew exactly what our dreams were, and she used those dreams against us. She used them to gain our trust and take our money. She made everything look legitimate. She created fake contracts, impersonated company representatives, and used multiple phone numbers to make the communication seem authentic. Because of that deception, we paid thousands of dollars in what we were told were refundable trip deposits. We also spent thousands more preparing for these trips by purchasing equipment, passports, luggage, and other necessities because we genuinely believed this opportunity was real. Caleb used nearly a month's worth of PTO because the representative Haleigh was impersonating told us we needed to be ready to travel at a moment's notice. He also stepped down from his full-time nursing position to work per diem so traveling as a family would be easier and so he could support my dream. Those were real sacrifices made in good faith. Instead of using that PTO, making memories for our children, we spent it sitting at home overwhelmed with stress, wondering what was happening. We lost income, stability, and precious time we will never get back. We also made long-term decisions because of this lie. Our family was preparing for the next step in Caleb's career, and we had begun applying to graduate programs. We paused those plans to pursue this opportunity, delaying his education by years. He is only now graduating this August. Had we not been deceived, he would have finished years earlier. At one point, Haleigh, Charles, and their daughters stayed with us and Caleb's parents, Bonnie and Scott, for 2 weeks while they were between moves. Caleb and I gave up our bedroom and slept in our children's rooms so their family could be comfortable. During that time, she continued scamming us while sleeping in the very bed we had given up for her. Even now, I can't believe she was doing that in our own home. When the truth finally came out, something changed in our home. We didn't feel just hurt, we felt violated. We became so paranoid that we even bought hidden camera detectors because we no longer knew who she was and what she was capable of. Throughout all of this, Haleigh manipulated us with fake tears and constant sob stories. She painted herself as the victim while making others out to be the villains, creating unnecessary tension and distrust between us and other people we cared about. She knew exactly how to exploit our compassion and our trust. She also claimed she had cancer, something we now know is a lie. She used that lie to gain sympathy, patience, financial support, and help from us, and from countless others. We babysat her children while she said she was going to treatments or needed rest. We organized support for her, including a meal train where dozens of our friends provided meals, gave their time, and even donated gift cards. We shared her GoFundMe with people and just wanted to help.
At one point, she even asked if we could be the guardians of her daughters and if something happened to both her and Charles, and we didn't hesitate to say yes. That message wrecked me. I truly believed I was going to lose one of my closest friends. Looking back now, it feels just like another way to buy time, gain sympathy, and distract us from the fact that she had taken so much money from us and so many others. Learning this was all a lie was one of the most disturbing and painful parts of the experience. This has affected every part of our lives. There were long periods where our lives were consumed by stress, confusion, and emotional exhaustion. I feel like we lost valuable time with our children because we were so consumed by everything that was happening. When people hear this case, they think it's just about the money, but for us, it's so much more than that. We stepped down from work, lost income, delayed education, gave up family time, and built our future around something that never existed. Those are things that restitution can never give back. She also used us as a bridge to other victims. Our family and friends trusted her because they trusted us. That has left us carrying a lasting sense of embarrassment and guilt that we still struggle with today. There have also been a few occasions where we have run into Haleigh in public. On those occasions, she has waved, smiled, and once even scoffed. It was deeply upsetting and re-traumatizing. It feels incredibly frustrating that she is just walking around as if she has won, while we are still living with the aftermath of what she did. This experience has changed us in more ways than I can explain. I often say this is the hardest thing I've ever gone through. What Haleigh took from us wasn't just money. She took our sense of safety, our trust in people, time with our children, opportunities, and our happiness. I don't even know if our friendship was ever real. Looking back now, it feels like we were just people she could use. The trauma we experienced and are still processing due to her choices go far beyond the monetary loss that we will never receive back in restitution. Your Honor, I respectfully ask that you consider everything Haleigh's choices have cost our family when determining your sentence. The current plea agreement feels like it was simply a loan that will eventually be repaid, but it wasn't. Our money has been gone for nearly 3 years, but the damage didn't stop there. We have spent lots of time living with stress, anxiety, and heartbreak. Restitution can repay dollars, but it can't give us that back. I also struggle to understand how someone who intentionally deceived so many people over a long period of time could eventually walk away with a similar record to someone whose crime didn't intentionally harm another person. That doesn't feel like justice. I believe Haleigh should be fully held accountable for the choices she's made. I respectfully ask the court to consider a sentence that includes incarceration and allows her felony conviction to remain. I believe that I believe that sentence better reflects the seriousness of what she did and lasting impact that it has had on all of us. Thank you for taking the time to hear my statement.
Thank you, ma'am. I'm sorry that you have to go through this. I'm sorry for everything that your family has gone through. I can't imagine, as I said, I believe it's your sister, yes. I can't imagine what that has done and the trust that you have lost and the faith that you have probably lost in humanity. I hope that by speaking today and her hearing your words, I hope that you are able to regain some of that and that you can move forward in life.
Thank you.
Your Honor, finally, the state would like to call Leanne Fink.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you are about to give in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Please state and spell your first and last name for the record.
Leanne Fink, Leann-Fink. Hi, Your Honor. My name is Leanne Fink. I'm a victim of Haleigh Knight. My daughter Sydney was friends with Haleigh since high school. Since their high school graduation in 2013, Haleigh claimed to be a successful content creator with multiple brands. In June 2023, she approached my children with an opportunity to work with her for 4 seasons as content creators. She drafted fake contracts, opened up fake phone numbers, and used communication as a fake representative for 4 seasons. Haleigh also offered me to join on the trips to help with her children while they filmed. Haleigh told me that she wanted to retire me as she knew I'd been a single mom for 20 years. I was so excited. I thought it was a dream come true. She took deposits for trips and told me to arrange to quit my job. I put a 2-week notice in and let my job know I would be quitting. Fortunately, they let me stay as the promise fell through. Leading up to the trip, I hadn't gotten my passport yet, and Haleigh mentioned that Four Seasons representative could expedite it for me. She took a copy of my driver's license, my social security number, and my birth certificate. The passport never came, and I ended up getting it myself. The time came to go on the first trip. I used all of my PTO plus another week of unpaid time off to go on this trip that I cannot get back when the trip fell through. As more excuses and more trips fell through and promises unfulfilled, my children were falling short on money they needed to pay their bills. I lent thousands of dollars to my younger daughter and my son, who was also made a promise from her to work for Four Seasons. The money I spent on the trip deposits was a small amount, but the money spent on passports, luggage, clothing, and equipment for the job, money I missed out on from unpaid time off, and money given to my children came close to $8,000, which sadly is money I wasn't able to document in this investigation. Haleigh has caused so much damage to my family, damage that we are still trying to undo. She played on her emotions and faked cancer as an attempt to take the heat off of her. We held back and didn't press her for the deposit returns. Instead, meals were taken to her, her children were babysat for her, donations were given, all in trying to help her with her cancer. The money was just the tip of the iceberg. She had my identity, my social security number, and my birth certificate that caused a great deal of stress on me. I realized I didn't know Haleigh at all, and there were times I had total irrational fears that I would walk into my house and see Haleigh standing there. Your Honor, her current offer is a felony charge that will be dropped to a misdemeanor when restitution is paid. It feels unjust after the emotional and financial havoc she has caused. Where is the punishment in this? She will be paying me back for money that was mine in the first place. I don't see this as a punishment for what she has done. This process is to make us whole. I do not feel whole. It would feel more fair for her to serve time in jail and have a felony record that follows her for the rest of her life. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, and I'm sorry again to your family that you had to go through this, and I'm sorry for everything that she took from you and your family. I hope that you're able to move forward in life and be able to heal. Thank you. Counsel.
Grab a seat. Joe?
Yep.
Just go and grab a seat.
Go ahead and call Sybil.
What page?
27, Judge. Thank you.
State of Nevada versus Russell Edward Sybil, case number C-399-247, Francis, please.
Police Costley on behalf of the state. And Allison Coombs appearing on behalf of Mr. Sybil, who's present in custody.
All right. And this is the time set for entry of judgment and imposition of sentence. Is there any legal cause or reason why judgment should not be pronounced against Mr. Sybil at this time?
No, Your Honor.
State?
No, Your Honor.
Sure. By virtue of your plea of guilty, I hereby adjudicate you guilty of the offense of count 1, attempts. Recalling C-398030 Haleigh Knight.
Hi, Colleen Brown from the state. Sorry, Your Honor, I was handling something. Can we approach?
You may. Ms. McKnight, I want to say a couple of things to you. While you were making your statement, you were dabbing at your eyes, but it was not lost on the court that when your former friends were telling you the ways that you hurt them, that you stood there emotionless. You not only embezzled from your friends, you doubled down on that embezzlement. And then you tripled down on that embezzlement. At any point in time, you could have said, I'm sorry, I messed up. I got in over my head and this has spiraled into something that is completely out of my control, and here's what I did, and you could have come clean. And if you had this kind of relationship with these people, you might have still lost them as friends, but they might have been able to at least have faith that you were honest with them, and you probably wouldn't have had the same sort of devastation and destruction that you caused to this family. I need you to keep that in the back of your brain as I say what I finished saying. You changed people's lives for your own selfishness and your own greed. And absent this court's ability to be able to take some of those things into consideration, you'd be going to prison today. But to the family, I want you all to understand that the court has to rely on evidence. I have to follow the law. And if I rely on things that you said that cannot be proven, that I can't really take into consideration, and I impose a sentence based on those things, then it would be potentially an illegal sentence that would ultimately be reversed. So while I understand that there's many things that you told me, there's only certain things that the court can rely on, and those things are what the state has provided as far as what is contained in the guilty plea. And so because of that, I have to follow what has been laid out in front of me. And what I have in front of me is somebody who clearly took money, and that needs to be punished. Somebody who clearly did that, but I don't really have much more than that as far as the other information that you all have provided to me that I can rely upon in imposing a sentence. You stole people's ability to trust them, Ms. McKnight. And as a result of your position as a nurse, and this being a Category C felony, I want the family to understand that in all likelihood, while you all feel that there's not really a consequence to her simply repaying the money, having a Category C felony on her record will be a consequence. She will likely lose her nursing license as a result of having that Category C felony on her record. And she will be required, there is case law that has recently come out, that when this court imposes the restitution that it's going to impose, she will have to pay back every penny of that restitution in order to potentially get the honorable discharge and have the sentence reduced. If she doesn't, then there is case law that says that she does not get the benefit of that drop down on the back end. I don't necessarily think that the state made a great deal in not imposing some prison time, but I have to rely on the state and the defense that when they are negotiating and when they are resolving cases, that they are doing so based on the law and the evidence that is in front of them. And I know both of the individuals that are standing in front of me from the state side and the defense side work very hard to represent their clients, in this case the state, and your client, in this case the defendant, and do so with the best evidence that they have in front of them. And so I am going to stand by the negotiations in this case, even understanding that there is a large part of me that would like to impose a prison sentence. But I'm going to stand by the negotiations in this case. Based on that, the court does hereby sentence you to confinement in the Nevada Department of Corrections for a minimum term of 24 months, a maximum term of 60 months. I am going to suspend that. I'm going to place you on a fixed period of probation. Let's see here. That's even most I can do is 24 months, correct? So I have $19,787.12 in restitution.
Yes.
I'm just doing some math, so I'm going to do 7. You have a calculator. My brain's not working.
I have a calculator here.
I got it, thanks. Usually I do long math and my brain's not working today. I'm gonna make it a fixed period of probation of 24 months, and I'm doing that because that's going to be based on the restitution amount and what she's gonna have to pay every month in order to pay off that full restitution amount. Guys, come up. The more that I sat here, there needs to be a consequence that is more than just you paying money back. There just does. 30 days seems right to me. And I know that that does not seem like a lot of time to the family, but it's me saying that there needs to be a consequence to you taking people's trust and destroying people's trust. That is more than just you paying back money, and more than just having the felony on your record that has the ability to be removed. You need to do some time on this, and I'm not saying that 30 days is, you know, a great amount of time, but for somebody who has never had any time behind bars and never been in the system, that's a significant amount of time. So I am going to impose 30 days, but I'm going to give you a week to self-surrender so that you can get your affairs in order over the next week. And it will be regular time. So I'm modifying the sentence. In accordance with the laws of the state of Nevada, the court has now sentenced you to confinement in the Nevada Department of Corrections for a minimum term of 24 months, a maximum term of 60 months. I'm going to suspend that. I'm going to impose all of the standard conditions of probation with an additional condition that you serve the first 30 days of your probation in the Clark County Detention Center, regular time. The remainder of your probation will be served out. Restitution in the amount of $19,787.12 is imposed, with an amount of $825 paid per month. All of the other conditions of probation are imposed. Administrative assessment of $25, DNA $150, DNA admin of $3 are imposed. In the event that you are successful on probation and you receive an honorable discharge, you will be able to withdraw your plea and plead instead to misdemeanor theft and receive credit for your time served. I think that covers everything.
That eligibility, of course, requires the full payment of the restitution.
Yes,
Thank you, sir.
based on the new case law that has come out, the the full restitution will be required to be repaid in order to get the benefit of that drop down.
Okay.
Anything else?
Want a status check for surrender?
Yes. So, today's Wednesday. She can surrender here next Wednesday, 9:30 a.m.
July 1st at 9:30.
Thank you.